What's up, everyone? It's Nurse Blake and my co-author Timmy Bauer.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
That was such great music. It jazzed me up.
Yes.
I'm so excited. Thank you all for tuning in live. Thank you so much for your pre-orders on the signed copies of the book. We have a bunch of questions we are going to answer for you guys. And I know you guys are also tuning in on my Facebook page. So as you comment, drop your questions and Timmy and I will answer them for you. But this is a reminder that if you haven't got your book yet, I Want to Be a Nurse When I Grow Up, you could order a signed copy on premiercollectibles.com/nurse. But let's start with how we met, Timmy.
Yeah, okay. It's
So
so funny. I literally am struggling to remember exactly how we met.
it kind of just like happened. It wasn't like, "Hi, I'm Blake. Oh, I'm Timmy." Like it was just kind of like, "Oh, that's Timmy and we work together."
Yep, 100%.
So
So,
Timmy's from Orlando. I'm from Orlando too. And I remember I was actually working as a patient transporter at the time at a big hospital system here. And one of the nurses is like, "Hey, Blake, like I work at Disney part time. Like you need to work at Disney. Like I think you could be in entertainment." And I'm like, "Absolutely not." And then I remember one day after I work, I went to an audition and I got the job, which is the coolest job in the world. But I got to work with you.
yeah, I had a very similar story. I was working as a lifeguard, and somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, you look just like this character that they're looking for. You should go and audition to be in entertainment." And I was like so nervous, but I was like, "All right, I'll go." And then I ended up getting to work in entertainment, and that's how we met.
So a lot of you are probably wondering, like, what'd you guys do at Disney? Well, Timmy and I were both, how do we say it, Timmy?
We were friends with
With
Peter
Peter
Pan.
Pan. We were friends with Peter Pan. And it was really the coolest job in the world. You know, we worked at Magic Kingdom, so right here, the most magical place on earth in Orlando. And my favorite part about the job was interacting with all the guests and the families, and especially, as you know, Timmy, the Make-A-Wish kids, which
Yeah.
really stood out. And working in entertainment, like we only have a short amount of time to connect with our guests, like 60 seconds or like 75 seconds at the max. And it's up to us to create these magical, memorable moments. That's going to be, also around a 5-day vacation at Disney. And it's got to be up to us to create something really, really special. And I've definitely taken that into my nursing practice. And I think we've taken that into our work with the book together. But how was your experience working at Disney?
So I used to get sick like almost every day before my shift because I was so nervous about like going on stage and just like not doing a good enough job and people getting their vacations ruined because it wasn't the experience that they were hoping for. um, but my favorite thing about working at Disney was any sort of weird event because like Disney would have their entertainers just do like all these random like special events where they load them up into RVs and ship them to a location and then have them get out and greet guests as they were like running a marathon, or sometimes they'd send entertainers to
Yep.
the hospital to go
Yep.
like meet and greet with the kids that are in the
Kids.
hospital, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing. Like the idea of like you have 60 seconds and you have to, and oftentimes you're talking to people that don't even really have much to say. So
Right.
you have to take that 60 seconds and turn it into an interaction where they feel like they just had a conversation with you, even though they said almost nothing.
Right. And it feels like we like to them like we already met because they've been reading about us in storybooks and watching us in movies, that it is a very unique experience. But it's one, like I said, I've even integrated into my nursing career. Like, we care for patients in the most vulnerable time. And I think on top of doing all the skills like Foley catheter insertion, IV insertion, wound care, giving medications, I think there's always a special time for a special moment and to create a happy moment for a patient that's in our care. And so what happened is I got the gross job of going from Disney and becoming a nurse. I graduated in UCF in 2014, and Timmy went on to become a
Yeah.
best-selling children's book author.
Yeah. So I wrote my first book right before I went to go work at Disney. And then while I was working there, a bunch of the entertainers were like seeing what I was making and they were like, "You need to go and try to make this a thing, make this into a career." And I was really nervous. I have like crippling imposter syndrome, but I was like, okay, fine. So I took this book that I'd written for my little brother and started knocking on elementary school doors to try to
Aw.
like build like tours that I could go and visit schools with. And then fast forward a bunch of books later, I think I was touring when you and I, like when you circled back around and hit me up
Yeah.
and you were like, would you like to do a book together? That was a
Yeah.
couple of years ago.
That was
At
like
least it
back.
feels like it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I think we just started talking about it, and we see a lot of people commenting. Jill from Ohio, Fran from Massachusetts, Emma from Illinois. Thank you guys for tuning in. Drop where you're from and also your weather, and if you pre-order the book because it is releasing tomorrow. I know a few copies got released today, but if you haven't ordered a book and you want a signed book, you could get I Want to Be a Nurse When I Grew Up by Nurse Blake and Timmy Bauer right at premiercollectibles.com/nurse. And while we're talking, Timmy, we have to sign too.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
so as we're doing this, it is a live signing.
this is going to be
We're
the hardest part.
we're also going to be multitasking and signing books as we go. And of course, I have my rainbow wildberry Skittles with me to keep on going. But
I
I
I
I
don't
reached
have that.
Oh, sorry, Timmy. I wish I could give you some through the screen. But I reached out to Timmy. We kind of connected over the years, and I realized that he writes books and is so great at it. And I've kind of always wanted to write a children's book, and I think that comes from my experience at Disney and mixed with my career in nursing, which I can't believe I've been a nurse for almost 8 years now. It's wild that I wanted to write a
Weird.
book kind of based off nursing and from a kid's perspective. Growing up, I had grown up in a healthcare household. So I remember my dad, he's a respiratory therapist. He would always tell me all these stories about how work was like, how he was able to save lives. And I knew like I wanted to get into healthcare. But as a lot of healthcare workers know, a lot of family can't really relate, to our stories because no one really knows what we go through. And when I started making content about 4 years ago, not only do nurses watch my videos, but they share my videos to their family so they could be like, this is why I'm grouchy after a long night shift, or I got pooped on at work, and this is what it's like. So they would share my videos so they could give their family a better understanding of what it's like to be a nurse. And I think that's what the book really, really does and really does well.
Yeah. Um, sorry, I was distracted by the comments.
And there's so many coming through. So, about the book, the age range is obviously from 3 to 8, but you could be 1 or 2, or you could be 85 and a retired nurse and still absolutely love the book. And obviously, you don't even have to be in healthcare to love the book because I just think it's really funny and really cute.
Yeah, yeah. Something that you were saying, Blake, about how you wanted to make content that could help nurses relate with their families about what it is that they do for a living. That is something that I'm super passionate about, which is why I'm really glad that we collaborated on this because I want to. My whole thing is like I want kids books. Like kids books are a vehicle where you can share with your kids what it is that you do for a living and give them a
Right.
perspective on what it is that you do for a living. So I love the idea that like this is a vehicle where nurses can use this to connect with their kids about what it is that they do for a living.
Yeah, and I think the book, I really wanna make sure it didn't just glamorize nursing, like, it's just this amazing job, and it's easy, and you get all these breaks, and just super chill. Like, we talk a lot about, like, the wildness of nursing, things like poop and wounds and the goop and, getting off a 14-hour shift and eating coffee. So, we kind of hit everything that a lot of my videos hit, and we integrated a lot of characters from my videos into the book. And one being probably the most popular character that I've ever done, and that is, of course, we have Nurse Becky right here. Had to be in the book. So as we continue on this series and create more books, you'll be seeing a lot more Nurse Becky. And we actually, Timmy, remember we had finalized a copy and Nurse Becky wasn't in it, and we were like,
Yes.
"Whoa, whoa! Stop production! Stop making copies!" We how do we forget about that hot mess, Nurse Becky? And I'm so happy we were able to fit her in, or she would have been so mad at us.
Yeah. When we first started making the book, like I don't know if I knew who Nurse Becky was. Like I don't know if I'd seen any of your Nurse Becky content. But I was there was another character in the book that I took like heavy inspiration from one of your videos. like when I was like drawing this like Nurse Mal character,
Yeah.
who's like a TV, like what you would think of when you think of like TV medical drama, like and how like not realistic it is.
It's so not you guys know, Grey's Anatomy, The Resident, there's a show called Nurses, it's not even that good. I feel like there's this those shows don't show you the real realities of nursing, and I think that's what this book does really, really well. So, just to overview the book, Nurse Blake, as a really young kid, is watching his absolute favorite medical TV show, and he just thought it was gonna be so cool to be a nurse, just like Nurse Mal. And what I love about the book is Timmy did such a great book with the good job with the illustrations. They just pop. And even growing up, I was watching a lot of ER and Scrubs. Grey's Anatomy's been around for so many years, so I was watching that too. But that was like me, glued to the TV, watching ER, all the wild stories. And the next day at school, the teacher announces that they are going to go on a local field trip to a hospital, and Blake was so excited. He was just like ready to work. He's like, "Where do the nurses go?" I mean, he was so excited he almost peed his pants. And he ends up getting to the hospital. He meets this really awesome nurse, and she tells them these three things. If you ever see someone in need, what do? Make sure the scene is safe, call for help, and then help the patient. And that's something that a lot of nurses and healthcare workers and even non-healthcare workers, they learn in CPR training or basic life support training. But I think we don't really teach our kids that. Like, if you see something, make sure it's safe first, call for help, and then go and help. And I'm so happy we were able to put that in this book, and it comes up at the end as well. And that's probably one of the most things I'm proud of this book. And as we continue this series, I always want to hit on a very important, medical thing that we could teach kids.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. I don't know, like I asked you right before we jumped on, I was like, can we talk about the sequel that we're working on? Because there
Yeah, we can talk about it.
ah we're
Awesome.
we will only say as much as you want to say, Blake.
Yeah, so we've already decided like what the second book's gonna be, and it is Santa sent to the ER. Now, what's so interesting about books is that for a book to be out by next Christmas, it has to be done by this summer. So we're already working on finalizing this book at summer, but unfortunately, it's not going to be on the shelves until next Christmas. But we want to focus obviously a lot on this book being our first book, which I think is so great. And so what happens in the story is after Nurse Blake hears that, he's so excited, he's ready to help, but then he runs into these nurses that are tired. This is the 14-hour night shift nurse, and he's got his coffee and stinky pits from sweating. And then you got the just cleaned up a goopy woo nurse, and it's all goopy and wounds and nasty. Then he finds a poop cleaning nurse, just cleaning up the poop, and the angry nurse who's really mad that needs help in his room, which as nurses working short staff, we all can familiarize and understand that. And then unfortunately, after seeing that, Nurse Blake is like, I don't know if I want to be a nurse anymore. Like, it wasn't like the TV shows. It was so much more, difficult and challenging, and the reality is different than what they show on TV. So Nurse Blake, his dreams are crushed. He gets so sad he didn't even want to eat ice cream on ice cream day. But as we all know, no one is too sad for ice cream. So Nurse Blake got his ice cream. And then later on at school, at recess, one of his friends gets hurt. And Nurse Blake turns around and he realizes he needs to jump into action and help. And he remembers what the first nurse told him: make sure the scene is safe, call for help, and then go help the patient. And of course, Nurse Becky is all up in there making sure the scene is safe. She gets mad because there's a toy on the ground, so the scene is unsafe. So she jumps in her hot mess way, and the scene becomes safe. Nurse Blake gets the school nurse to come out and help. So we obviously want to shout out to the awesome school nurses out there. And Nurse Blake realizes that, you know what? Maybe Nurse Blake happened, that he does want to be a nurse at the end of the day, no matter how wild it got at that hospital, and that caring for others is what he's really, really, really passionate about. And so, and that's a book, and that's obviously there were a lot more pages and storylines and stuff. And what's also cool about the book, you get a free, if you scan this QR code, you get a free activity book that's downloadable. It's not active today because the book releases tomorrow, but I'll make sure Brett with two T's gets that up tomorrow so your kids can actually do this activity. It's a lot. It's like crossword puzzles and coloring pages and a whole bunch of activities that relate and go back to the book. We're getting some more questions, Jezebel. Where are you guys from? We're from Orlando, Florida, the
Yes.
most magical place on earth with the most traffic in the world. That's why even
Yeah.
though Timmy and I are in Orlando, we live like 10 miles away from each other, but that's like 2 hours driving.
Honestly. Yeah.
So if you guys are just tuning in, this is a live book signing of I Want to Be a Nurse When I Grow Up by me and my friend co-author Timmy Bauer, who is so talented and helped make this book really come alive with all the illustrations and getting all the storylines right. You know, it's a process writing a book. I never realized how challenging it was, you know, even a kid's book, which is not even like a chapter book. So Timmy, can you go over kind of your process you go through?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So, the main thing is you're trying to create something that is for two different kinds of an audience. So you've got the parents that are going to be reading the book for their kids. They're the ones that are going to be buying the book. So it needs to appeal to them and have, in it the things that they care about. But oftentimes what they care about and what the kids, who's the other half of the audience, what they care about in a kid's book are completely different from each other. So I would imagine for your audience, like parents probably want to make sure that their career is getting showcased well. They're getting the opportunities to talk to their kids about what it is to be a nurse. They're getting to laugh and like get references to your content. Um, but then for kids, like for the most part, the main thing that they care about is just, is it funny? Like that's literally the main thing. And if
Right.
it's not funny, if they're not laughing on every page, chances are they're going to shelve that book and they're going to go for some other book. So one of the hardest things about like making a kids book is just trying to please both of those two audiences and going like, all right, all throughout, like, okay, what's the agenda? Like, what is the main thing that we want to make sure is true for the adults that are going to be reading the book? How do we tell a story that's really, really entertaining for kids that will do that? And yeah, so like, I guess like in a nutshell, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing like the storyboard and all the illustrations come together because they're just like black and white, just like drawings. And then I was so excited, you know, to work with you on the characters and the colors and the actions because, you know, words are limited in a kid's book, right? Especially, you know, the ages of 3 to 8. So a lot of story is just told by the action and the expression of every character in the book. And I think the illustrations is another thing I'm really proud of. So thank you, Timmy, because I can't draw a stick figure. So I'm so proud that and happy that Timmy was able to team up with me on this book.
It was
You
really
know,
fun. I really
yeah.
liked my favorite part in the beginning was you were like, "Okay, I don't know exactly what I want the characters to look like." So I just took a bunch of other character art from like other different like comics and stuff. And then I just drew what I thought you would look like in that style just to get your idea of like, "Okay, yeah, I like that." And then that ended up becoming the inspiration for how the characters look.
Yeah, no, totally. You know, I absolutely love it. And I'm so excited about our next one. You know, what was really cool is as we were going through and signing books, it's so cool that these are already going to families. And I didn't know how popular the book was going to be. And for the past 2 years, we've been pitching this to numerous publishers, and no one wanted to pick up the book, but I knew I wanted to get it out there. So we were even considering self publishing for a really long time. And I'm so happy that Post Hill Press took a chance on us in this book. And we already have thousands of copies that have been ordered and that are being shipped. And as I was signing books and, just looking at them, it hit me that this book, that we're signing is going to go to a family and it's going to have a home. And that is probably one of the most rewarding things. It's not about how many books we sell, but that it's going to a home. It's going to a healthcare professional's home that's going to be able to share this book with their kid or with their nephew and nieces. I don't have kids, so I like to read with my two nieces that live really close by. And it's something really, really special. And going into their house and seeing it on the shelf makes me really happy. So, to everyone that has pre ordered a book or will be ordering a book, thank you so much. It's so cool to be,
Yeah, thank
a
you.
part of your family's life and in a way around a book that took a long
Yeah.
time to make. But I'm so thankful to Postal Press for taking a chance on us and for getting it out there. I know this went on pre-sale like in January, so a lot of you have been waiting months and months, and it officially they all started shipping out today. So I'm so excited. But if you do want a signed copy, you could get yours today at premiercollectibles.com/nurse. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, Timmy. We're supposed to be
Yeah, sorry.
signing the book. Like, oh my gosh, supposed to be signing. But a lot of you have submitted questions already. So I will go through and Timmy, we could answer a few questions.
Awesome. I love it. Let's do it.
What inspired you to write this book now? Like I said, I've been a nurse for about 8 years, and 4 years into my career, I was working in a busy ICU and I was getting really, really burnt out. And I was just having a really a bad time, in my life that was scary, and I felt alone, and I felt like I needed to connect with others, and that's when I started my Nurse Play Facebook page. I came out with my Scrub Romper video, and it was just an outlet for me to be able to reconnect with myself and remember why I love nursing. But it was all of you and all your comments and the community that you guys were able to build on my Facebook page, and just reading all your comments like your videos made my day, or I was having such a bad day at school and nursing school, then I watched your video and it made me laugh. And I realized that, that type of silly fun content does make a difference, not only in my life but the lives of other people that may watch my stuff. And I was getting a lot of messages that, kids, like parents, kids were watching my videos and that they love Nurse Becky. And I was like, not all my videos are for kids, but the one thing that we could do, which is, easier today to write a book and self-publish if you don't get picked up. It's like, let's write a book. And it was a big investment on Timmy and I's part. And we didn't know if it was going to be picked up. We didn't know if it was going to sell. And that's how we started. And like I said, it's been years in the making, but it's just another extension of my videos that is more specific to, a younger audience. And as you guys know, with the staffing problems that nurses have, turnover is really high and retention's low. A lot of people are like, don't color your kids get into nursing. No, it's like, no, we need more nurses, awesome nurses in this world, because I need someone to care for me when I get old. So books like this, I hope, will be able to help a kid understand that they can get into nursing. It is going to be difficult and challenging, but you could do it if you have the heart and passion for it. And this
Yeah.
book, it's written in here on the first page. It said, dedicated to everyone who dreams of doing the most amazing job on earth, nursing. And I think that, nursing provides so many opportunities out there. You don't ever have to get stuck in one job. And if you don't like a job, you could always change around. Graduating and walking across the stage in 2014, I never would have thought I would be doing comedy. I never thought I would go on tour. And I never thought I'd have a children's book. But nursing has led me down a path that I didn't even expect. So kids out there, nursing is such a great career and could take you down a crazy path, a good path. And it's definitely a fun ride.
I guess how I would answer that question, like, is that you inspired me.
Timmy, thank you. Thank you. And all these healthcare heroes. What is your biggest takeaway you want your readers to gain? I think for the child, that nursing is challenging and difficult, and there is poop and wounds that could be nasty. You know, the things you want the kids to giggle and laugh about when they're reading a book. But to know that, you know, being a nurse, you do help people. And Nurse Blake was able to help his friend who got hurt on the playground. And another important piece to this is the three things if you see someone hurt is to make sure the scene is safe. We all know scene is safe. Scene is safe. All right, now we need to call for help and then help the patient. I think that's it's a real easy lesson, but it's such an important lesson and one I think that can be taught at the young age this book is geared to, which is 3 to 8. However, nursing students would love this book. Retired nurses would love this book. You don't have to be 3 or 8 to get the book, and it's also a great gift, retirement gift, nursing student graduation gift. You placed your first Foley gift. You got the IV insertion on the first time. So those are my biggest takeaways I want the reader to gain. What about you, Timmy?
For me, it is the idea that the job is not necessarily like what you see on TV, but it's incredibly rewarding. And I really like that Blake has that like realization throughout the book. Like at first he's like shocked with reality, and then by the end of it, he's like, "Wow, this was incredible."
I I love that part because you know he's like even like as I'm reading the book and I know the book and when I saw his dreams get crushed like I get sad even though I know what's going to happen at the end like it does take you through that range of emotions. So thank you Liz for that question and thank you Dawn from North Carolina and Liz from Alabama for those. This one comes in from Maine. Hannah, how involved were you in the illustrations of the book? So Timmy and I worked very closely together back and forth. And, you know, a lot of it was during the pandemic. So we weren't able to be in person together. So it was a lot of virtual meetings, a lot of calls, a lot of Google Drive documents going back and forth. Timmy is obviously the most creative one. So I was able to just
I disagree.
vomit. No, 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 you are. I was able to just vomit my ideas to Timmy, and he was able to bring them to life and make it look pretty and colorful.
It's awesome to hear. I loved it. I loved working on the artwork. I thought it was so fun. This is
Thanks,
one of my
Timmy.
favorite things to do.
We have Cassidy from Minnesota. What inspired the characters in this book? You know, a lot of people ask me about my videos, like, who are these stories from? Like, who are these characters? Who are you making fun of? I am either making fun of me or coworkers I've worked with when I make nursing school videos. I'm making fun of the students and classmates I went to school with. And this video, or sorry, this book, which hopefully would be a video one day, would be a little cartoon movie, which would be really, really cool. That's a dream. But it's based off people I've worked with, and which I think is also really cool too. You know, everything I talk about in my show or in this book, it's all based on real life experiences.
How often are you creating new characters, Blake? Like how often are you like seeing something in the profession and being like, "Oh, that needs to be a character."
I don't think it's so much characters because they're not like there's like Nurse Blake and then there's Nurse Becky. There's not other like real characters like I give names to. They're just more hints at a certain personality um type that I've seen or interacted with, if that makes
I love
sense.
it. I love it.
Hello from Ireland. What's up, Ida? Is the book going to be translated to Spanish? I wish that would be awesome. We have Vicky. Hi, Vicky, a dialysis nurse from New Jersey. Patty, today's my 38th nurse anniversary. Congratulations, Patty. See, she still loves it even after 38 years. Veronica from Philly. Did you always know you wanted to be a nurse? You know, I it wasn't when I was growing up, it wasn't nurse specific until I got into high school, but it was always healthcare specific. You know, my dad worked on night shift, so I remember growing up as I was getting ready for school that morning, my dad would come home from his long shift. We'd eat cereal together, like Fruity Pebbles, or when they had the Oreo, the really good Oreo cereal. Um, we would just talk, and he would talk about work, and he would talk about the people that he saved or challenges that he had. And so I knew immediately, like I wanted to get into healthcare. There wasn't another question about it. In high school, I started in a health academy, and when I graduated high school in '09, I was doing my prereqs that summer. I didn't like run off to Paris to go find myself. And it was in high school where I learned more about nursing. I also learned that, respiratory deals with a lot of sputum and mucus and goop and that wasn't necessarily my path, but nursing would offer me a little more flexibility within the healthcare profession. I love RTs. You guys are awesome, but nursing is definitely for me. Timmy, when did you know you did not want to be a nurse?
um, well, I've never wanted to do anything that has to do with like bodily functions and stuff. Which I was reading the comments. Emma Hillman said, "What I love about nursing is that they never make you feel embarrassed for things the body does out of our control." I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. I naturally get very grossed out by body stuff. But the good news about that is it makes for great kids book content. Like kids,
It,
kids
it's
love that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of stories that, can be, or things that happen that can be embarrassing for nurses and patients. And in my nursing practice, I always use humor. And I remember one time I was working and a patient just like peed, like, and it got all over me. And what was really embarrassing for him, I was able to like laugh and joke about it with him. And it turned into be this like funny joke and story where he wasn't embarrassed anymore. So I definitely have used humor in my nursing practice to help, number one, me feel more comfortable, help me break the mold with patients and really connect with them on another level. Not all patients like the humor. That's okay. I could tone it back, but most of them do, and it gets them to be a little more comfortable with me. Chloe, any advice from Indiana? Any advice to someone wanting to go to nursing school? Do it. There are a lot of options, whether it's LPN or get your ADN or BSN. No one can tell you which program is going to be right for you except you. And just know nursing school is hard. There's going to be a lot of meltdowns, a lot of select all that apply questions, the NCLEX. But if you put your heart and mind to it, you could definitely do it. In high school, I wasn't the smartest student, but it really kicked into gear for me when I got into college and I knew I was studying to help save someone's life one day. It wasn't about the grades for me. It was about knowing the material for when I need to use it in my practice. So if you want to go to nursing school, do it, do it, do it. No, it's not a easy, smiley time. There will be those meltdowns. But if nursing is something you really care about and are passionate about, do it. And we need you because everywhere is short staffed. So hurry up and do an accelerated program, Chloe. We have Jake from Utah. How did you start creating content? Favorite part and hardest part? So I started creating content about oh my gosh, like 5 years ago, 5 years ago now. Like from this month, my scrub romper video came out. And again, I just did it for myself as an outlet for myself to share some stories and experiences and to make my friends laugh. And it turned out to be a lot more than that, and it helped a lot of other people. And it made me to realize that I wasn't alone. That no matter where you work, live, or practice, we all pretty much go through the same thing. We're all missing bladder scanners on nursing units around the world. So I just jumped right in. I started with one video and I kept making more and more and more. My favorite part is reading all of the comments. Whenever I post a video, I'm always in the comments seeing what you guys are thinking. I try to apply or try to reply back to as many of them as possible, but it's so cool to see, a nurse that works like you, Jake, in Utah is able to laugh at the same joke as a nurse in Montreal in Canada, and the same nurse that works in the Philippines, in Manila, or in Sydney, Australia. It's so cool that we have a connection, even though our practice and where we work is a little different. The hardest part, um, is really staying on track. I'm not someone who puts out videos like every Tuesday or every Thursday. People have tried to get me on track, but I kind of just do my own thing and flow. And I've kind of kept it that way because I never want it to feel like a job for me. I always want to be fun. And that's why I got into it to the first place. So I always try to make it fun, even though it's a lot of work.
That's awesome. Derek from Florida says to you, Blake, nurse, speaker, content creator, now author. What's next for you in your career?
The ultimate napper. I am tired. I am ready to take a long nap. You know, um, at the end of the day, I'm a nurse. Like that's why I'm in this profession because I want to care for others. Um, like I said, I never thought I'd be an author. in nursing school, I never thought I'd be doing comedy. I don't really, even though we wrote this children's book together, I don't. It's funny because you were talking about that too, that imposter syndrome, where I don't feel like an author, like I don't feel like a comedian that does tours. I'm doing what I love, and that's why I maybe don't put a title on it. And a lot of people ask me what's next, and I feel like I don't know, but that's okay because if you were to ask me, 3 or 4 years ago, what's next, I might have said, "Oh, I need to go back and get my master's degree, or I need to get my doctorate degree," and I just had these blinders on. Oh, what's next? What's next? What's next? And instead, I just kind of live every day and take on new opportunities, like working with Timmy on this book. And it's opened up so many doors and allowed me to do so many other things. And for that, I love it. So those of you out there who are asking yourself, "What's next?" Just try to enjoy the day to day and take opportunities that come by because it might lead you down a different path or journey. Aaron says, "You're too young for a nap." Oh, someone says, "So a nurse is a nurse." Just kidding. Absolutely not. There are so many specialties in nursing. You're not a nurse is not just a nurse. We all have our own specialties, and we're a lot more than just nurses. What's the next question you got, Timmy?
Let's see. Sarah from California said, "How did you and Timmy meet?" So we talked about this at the beginning of the live stream, but we met together at Disney. We both performed in the same role at Walt Disney World. We were friends with Peter
Peter
Pan.
Pan,
Yep.
which doesn't mean we were Tinkerbell.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought for the longest time I would have to say I'm friends with Tinkerbell, and you think about Tinkerbell's friend. But I'm like, no, if people are like, "Oh, you're Tinkerbell," I'm like, "Oh, I'm not Tinkerbell." We
Yeah, yeah.
were friends with Peter Pan.
Friends with Peter Pan, if you know what that means. And I've talked to people that are like, "Wait, you were just friends with him? You?" I
No,
was like, "Please, there are children in this room. I was friends with Peter Pan."
no. It was such a fun job, and like I said, I loved connecting with the guests, and the same way I've connected with patients too. I've taken that same strategy and that same approach as I connected with every guest I had at Disney into every patient I've had as a nurse, and so it was a really great experience for me. I
Yeah,
kind of miss
same.
it sometimes, Timmy.
Yeah, what do you miss about it?
Everything. No, I just miss because it's something that obviously we can't do forever. That role is something we can't be 60 and doing that job. That it was so cool to be a part of a really small group of people that were able to share the same job description
Yeah,
as me. Because
yeah.
there's only a few of us in the specific role that we had, and I think that's really, really cool and special.
I remember at one point they pulled me into a room and they were like, "Hey, do you know why we're talking to you today?" And I was like, "I think it's
Oh.
because I'm a 28-year-old man uh,
Ah!
acting like a 12-year-old."
Ah, that's so fun. I love that. Someone said, "How long did you work at Disney?" I was only there about 2 years because I was also in nursing schools and I was working part-time night shift as a patient care tech as I'm going for my nursing degree. So I was really busy. But Timmy, you worked there for
I
quite a
was
bit
there
longer.
until I was a 28-year-old man.
So were we there like 10 years?
Something like that, yeah. Really close to 10 years.
That's awesome. Nancy says your book will be at my house tomorrow. Thank you so much for ordering, Nancy. Steven said, "How old is too old to pursue a career in nursing?" There is no age limit to nursing. It's all about heart and passion. And, I think the people that, that are older, that have a longer life experience, are going to make great nurses because I think the hardest part about being a nurse, it's not how to insert IV. It's not about how to insert a Foley or turn a patient. It's about how you connect with patients. And I think the more life experiences you have, the better your ability to connect with patients on different levels. So don't ever let age discourage you from getting into the profession. Joelle, did you ever believe you would go from being an RN to being a hit internet sensation? No. When I shared my first video of the scrub romper, I had no idea it was gonna go viral. I had no idea it was gonna be like all over the internet and all over news stations around this country. And that's when I realized, like, once you put something out there, you can't take it down. And that's when I was like, "Oh my gosh, I went viral. That's so crazy." And then I thought, like, I'm never gonna be able to have a popular video again. Like that was it. And, I never let that stop me or discourage me. And I've kept on making videos. Again, it's not about, like this book, it's not about the number of people that buy this book. It's about, you know, how this book impacts the people that do buy it. I'd rather sell one book to a family that really loves it, that inspires a kid to go to nursing, than sell 100,000 books there. So even my content's always been about quality over quantity. So if you guys have a book, thank you guys so much. When I was going through these books and signing these books, I don't cry often, but I did shed a few tears because it's so special to me that these books are going to be at your home with your family. And I think that's really, really cool. So thank you guys for allowing us to be a part of your life in a really, really cool way. So we'll continue with the questions. We have Beth. Would you ever go back to being a full-time nurse again? I'm focused on nursing education now, so I stay really, really busy with that. Obviously doing a bunch of other projects, but my main role is nursing education. I do want to go back one day. It probably won't be full time, but maybe per diem would be nice. It would be a nice gig. It kind of got a little challenging with HRs, human resource departments not really liking me because of my
Oh,
videos.
snap.
Then you have patients that recognize you and staff. So I never wanted it to affect my practice or affect patient care in any way. So I knew there was a time for me that I could focus on advocacy work. I could focus on giving back. We offer free CNEs to nurses around the world on our free Nursecon app. So that's something I've really been passionate about, and just creating, events for nurses to celebrate us and everything that we do. So I do miss it a lot, and maybe one day. We got a question: how do I purchase a signed copy? Good question. You can purchase a signed copy with that link on the bottom of the screen, premiercollectibles.com/nurse Blake. Premier, I don't even know how to spell that, so just guess. Collectibles.com/nurse. Sorry, not Nurse Blake. And you could order a signed copy.
It's also, I think it's on like over our video on the live stream. I
Oh,
think. I
perfect.
think so.
Good.
I think it's this
Awesome.
thing that's written here. I hope.
Cool. I love it. Just follow that. We have another one from Crystal from Alabama, and Siri wants to ask you a question. Um, favorite memory from being a night shift nurse? My favorite. There's so many. I miss the night shift so much. It's such a vibe, and it's so cool and chill. It's not quiet. Can't say quiet because night shift nurses are busy, but it is a little more chill. It is a vibe. Is when I got peed on. That turned out to be on the night shift, and I will never forget about that. And I share that story all the time. But it was something that was so gross and nasty that able was able to be just a funny moment for me and for the patient, and we were just really connected on that in a funny way. And Liver Rogers, yes, you could get a signed copy at premiercollectibles.com/nurse. It's also available everywhere you get books. Another one, Kylie from Dallas, Texas, and this is our last question. Or was
I
uh
think so.
what
What's
is
been
one
the
of the
most
oh, go ahead. I can't
yeah,
see it.
what's been one of the most fun times and memories from touring?
So there's this one tour, this one show I was at, and by the way, I'm touring again this fall. I'm doing like 45 cities, so if you get the chance to come to my PTO comedy tour, you could get tickets at nurseblake.com. And we also just announced Nursecon at Sea 2023 today. We're doing 2 sailings going out of Miami, one on the Norwegian Pearl to the Dominican Republic in February, and one again on Royal Caribbean's Freedom of the Seas in April 2023. It is the ultimate nursing conference, from education to parties, CNEs, shows, game shows. It's so much fun. So registration opens for that on June 3rd at noon Eastern time. And you can check out all the pricing and details at nurseconatsea.com. But my favorite part of the tour is a few years ago, and I do this every year. I do the Nurse Blake Awards every year. And the one time, this is coming back again, where I had 4 different categories, and there were cash prizes, and we had the Professor of the Year award, Preceptor of the Year award, we had Nursing Student of the Year, Nurse of the Year award, and one professor won Professor of the Year, and she was so shocked and surprised. And she had won this 3 or 4 years ago, and she came to my show in the fall, and she came up to me and she said, "Blake, I'm going back for my doctorate in nursing. I'm still in education. I love it." And right before the award, I was gonna put in my resignation, and I was not gonna be a professor anymore, that I was getting so discouraged, and because she won the award and got the recognition, she continued in it and loves it. So that was one of the most special moments, you know? I connect with so many of you, you know, online, and like I said, even if I don't reply, like, I'm really good with names and faces and profile pictures, and I do see all the comments, and it's so cool when I see people at my show or out in public or on Nursecon at Sea that I already feel like I have a connection with you. So if you ever do see me out, do say hi because I would love to meet you all in person. So yeah, Timmy,
Marcia
what
Ann
is
Roberts says Nursecon was awesome. I'm so sad I couldn't have been there.
Nursecon at Sea was amazing, but you get that chance
It looks
next year.
amazing.
This year, I did my live book reading, so a lot of people were able to get their copy really early on Nursecon at Sea. Oh, Timmy, maybe we could
Yeah,
read our Christmas book early next year on Nursecon at Sea.
I would love to do
Because
that.
it'll be
I
done, it
would
won't
love to
be
do that.
out yet. So if you didn't
Yeah,
hear, we are already working on our second book. And we'll show them the page. It is da
yeah,
da da da. Santa Sent to the ER. And in this book, we always like to have some important medical thing that kids can learn, and we talk about allergies and why it's so important that we ask others if they have any allergies. So I'm so excited about
yeah.
that book. So what's so wild about books is that book has to be done like in 2 months in order for it to be ready to hit the shelves next Christmas. So if you're on Nurse Kind of See, you'll be one of the first. We'll be able to read it to you live. And Timmy, you're coming too. So
I can't wait. I'm so
Dominican
excited.
Republic and the Bahamas.
Yes.
So, again, if you haven't got a book, you can purchase and order a book, a signed copy, premiercollectibles.com/nurse. You can get tickets from a PTO comedy tour at nurseblake.com this fall. And you could also check out all the information for Nurse Con at Sea 2023. Registration opens in 11 days. June 3rd on noon Eastern time. You can come to us to either the Dominican Republic in February of next year or to the Bahamas in April of next year. And all that information is nurseconatsea.com. And if you need free CNEs, you can get that on the free Nursecon app. Again, you can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And Timmy, where can everyone find and follow you and see all your other books?
So I'm author Timmy on TikTok and YouTube. In fact, if you check out my YouTube channel, Author Timmy, I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I just created a how to draw the characters from this book, and I'm
Yay!
going to be posting that this week. So if you'd like to like sit down with your kids and try to practice drawing the characters, I plan on posting that this week.
I'm so excited about that, Timmy. And big shout out to Timmy. Thank you so much, man. It's so great working with you. I love working together. I can't wait to see what else we come up with. Shout out to Live Signing, Premier Collectibles, to Postal Press for publishing the book, and Simon and Schuster for being our distributor. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for all your support and love. When you get your books, take pictures, post them, tag me. Yeah, Timmy.
Write reviews on Amazon,
Yes,
please.
5 stars,
Yes.
Amazon, 5 star. Only do 5 stars. If you're doing less than, don't leave it. Don't leave it. Just 5 stars only. Thank you all so much. Love you so much, and we will see you next time. Enjoy the book. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.